I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Good Lord! I don't need luck!
I'm here. It's okay.
I have you!
I know all about waiting. For my family. They'll be back. One day. Thank you.
What defines a character? Their parents, their family, their last name? No, none of that. Star Wars has never been about bloodlines. Star Wars has been about family. The families that you were born into, the families that you choose, and the family that chooses you. There are those who will say Star Wars has a bloodline problem, that George Lucas was obsessed over bloodlines, yet even within the context of the prequel and the original trilogy, Anakin and Luke were never special because of their family. Different, maybe, but never special. Anakin was a slave, living with his poor mother, destined for a life of servitude, till the Jedi intervened because they believed him to be the chosen one. Yet, even with being the chosen one, that didn't erase Anakin's upbringing as a slave. That didn't erase the fact that he had to work and prove himself over countless years and service to the Jedi to be seen as anything, and even then, that did not erase the emotional turmoil of his life. If anything, it was the fact that Palpatine drilled into Anakin's head that he should be treated differently because he was strong with the Force, because he was gifted.
I have said it many times. You are the most gifted Jedi I have ever met. I see you becoming the greatest of all Jedi, Anakin. Even more powerful than Master Yoda.
But his name, his family, had nothing to do with that. And this was all gaslighting from Palpatine. It wasn't something Anakin came to the conclusion of his own. Luke, being a Skywalker, didn't change how he grew up or how he was raised. It didn't give him special privileges in the rebellion. It didn't change the fact that his life was that of a farmer who dreamed of adventure. And it didn't mean that his story throughout the original trilogy wasn't that of trials, adversity, and barely escaping the OT with his morals, sanity, and very life intact. Anakin and Luke, being Skywalkers, never invalidated the characters who weren't Skywalkers. In fact, characters like Obi-Wan, Han Solo were constantly proving themselves to be just as gifted with their abilities despite not being Skywalkers. Obi-Wan defeated a Sith assassin as a Padawan, and then later Anakin himself in a lightsaber duel, while Han Solo not only saved Luke Skywalker on multiple occasions throughout the run of the original trilogy, he managed to get the jump on Darth Vader and beat him in a dogfight in A New Hope. The origins of one's birth not being the defining aspect of who they are or what they will be is a two-way street, both in the context of someone who is raised by their family and someone who is raised without it. Yet ironically, when it comes to Star Wars, all of the Skywalkers weren't even raised in traditional homes or by their families completely. Luke was raised by his aunt and uncle, but he never knew his father or mother. Leia was raised by her adopted family, the Organas, and chose to identify as one till her dying day. Anakin was raised without a father as a slave, and then by the Jedi. Ben Solo was the only Skywalker to be raised by his parents his whole life, and then later by his uncle, not counting Jason and Jaina Solo and Ben Skywalker from Legends. Was it Star Wars and George Lucas that had a bloodline problem, or did certain people let themselves be convinced it had a problem with bloodlines due to the need to validate the concept of Rey Nobody? No one is a nobody. It doesn't matter if your family were senators, smugglers, pilots, rebels, farmers, found family, or even Jedi, which mind you, the characters who had Jedi parents in Star Wars were close to none outside of Luke and Leia's relation with Anakin ended up destroying her entire career, so pretty sure that's nothing to brag about. The lie of Rey Nobody, beyond the lie of it being original in the slightest capacity, even within the context of just the movies, is acting like anyone is a nobody, even if Rey's parents were John and Jane Doe, even if they were filthy junk traders. Rey's parents would still be characters. They would still be somebody to Rey. Rian Johnson himself said that the choice to make Rey a nobody had nothing nothing to do with the thematic message of anyone being a Jedi. If anything, he pushed that message with the broom boy. In Ryan's own words, he said that Kylo calling Rey a nobody was a dramatic choice in regards to the worst thing Rey could hear and what Kylo could say to help break her resolve so that she would join him. At the end of the day, Rey Nobody is less about originality or progression, but personal preference, which is fine. What we love from stories is subjective, but there needs to be a level of transparency in regards to what we like versus what we deem as progressive or regressive. And if the concept of a character not being related to a known character is just something people wanted from the sequels, Finn has always embodied that message more than Rey. Let's be transparent here. The white sand orphan that talks to droids, knows how to pilot, and looks disturbingly like the spitting image of a gender-bent young Luke Skywalker mixed with Padme and Shmi Skywalker, who started the sequel trilogy, gifted in the Force, and copies Luke Skywalker's narrative arc almost beat for beat, was less original than the black Force-sensitive renegade stormtrooper who had to fight everyone just for the right to exist, even Mickey Mouse himself. Rey being a Skywalker, nobody, Palpatine, Kenobi, Solo, or literally anything else doesn't take away from the fact that most of Rey's life was soul-crushing loneliness and a desire to find a belonging. Far too many people let the Star Wars fandom dictate their own personal belief system of what they deem is good or bad writing in regards to a character. And I feel like this is because we live in a society where context has become a distant memory in regards to storytelling, both in relation to how we consume media and how people make the media we consume. Everyone forgoes context for concept in a sense of what they like or what they dislike. And after The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, Duel of the Fates, and now Rey choosing to be a Skywalker, I have to wonder how much of the sequel trilogy was just one nightmare of certain individuals trying to find a loophole around Rey being related to the Skywalkers, only to realize it didn't matter if Rey was related to the Skywalkers, because what matters more than anything is who Rey chooses to see herself as and what she does with that choice. Rey's agency as a character is her own, and regardless of who JJ and Kasten originally saw Rey related to in The Force Awakens, regardless of if originally George Lucas had a different idea in mind for Rey when she was known as Kira in his sequel trilogy, what always mattered the most in Star Wars was never what you were, but what you did. What is a nobody in Star Wars? The answer is no one is a nobody in Star Wars.